So I deleted social media, not because I wanted to. Honestly, I was so afraid I'd be missing out, but I did it anyway. And to tell you the truth, the first few days, it was weird as hell. I'm talking like scrolling Gmail, like if it was Instagram, opening my Photos app, and just like looking at old photos and scrolling, checking the weather about like 6 times for no reason. And that's when I realized that scrolling isn't about social media. Scrolling has to do with what my brain does when it's bored. So here's what happens when you delete social media, and not the version where you suddenly become super productive and super enlightened. The real version where you're awkward, you're bored, you feel lost, and then something shifts. Because here's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. Once your brain stops getting those constant dopamine hits, it actually starts remembering how to be interested in normal stuff again. And that's when you start feeling like a kid again. And this is not nostalgia. This is just your brain remembering what it normally does and how it actually working how it's supposed to. Getting excited about real things, not just scrolling. So I'm going to break it down into 3 stages so you can actually know what to expect, how to navigate it, and actually how to work through it so you can get to the stuff that you've been putting off. All right, so day 1, I deleted Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, even YouTube. I felt pretty good about myself for the first 20 minutes. Then I picked up my phone just to check something, and my thumb went right where Instagram used to be, but it's not there anymore. So I'm just standing there like an idiot. Then I opened Gmail, not because I had to write an email, just because I needed something to do. I went through my Gmail, emails that I had already read, and then for real, I checked the weather, and then I would close the app again, and then I would check it again 30 seconds later. I'm not kidding. I I caught myself like looking at my contacts and just kind of reminiscing on old people that I hadn't thought about in years. And here's the most embarrassing thing. One night I caught myself reading the privacy policy of iCloud, and like if that was something interesting. So again, not that I was interested in Apple's data policy. It's just that scrolling, the habit of scrolling had become the thing that I do, and I just didn't know what else to do in that moment. And this is what withdrawal looks like. And it's kind of ridiculous when you notice it. So here's what's actually happening. Your brain has been trained, literally trained, to go for that dopamine hit every time it feels bored, frustrated, or uncertain. And the social media apps are literally built and engineered to do exactly that. They use something called the variable reward scheduling. And it's the same mechanism as the slot machines. You pull the lever, sometimes you get nothing. You do it again, you get a like. You do it again, you get a comment. Sometimes you get a video that you love so much that you watch 3 times in a row. The thing is, your brain doesn't know when it's going to get the hit, so it keeps checking, it keeps trying. Every time you go on Instagram, you're pulling the lever. Every time TikTok serves you a video, you're getting that variable reward. So your brain just got conditioned. You're feeling stressed, get the phone. You're feeling bored, get the phone. You're waiting online, get the phone. So your brain gets conditioned. You're feeling uncomfortable or unsettled, anxious, you check the phone. You feel bored or you don't know what to do, you check the phone. And so when you delete the app, the reflex at the beginning, the reflex of checking the phone, it doesn't disappear. Your brain still wants the hit. So you'll notice then the first thing to notice is that it's just going to redirect the habit or the hit. It's going to look for whatever is available. For me, that was Gmail, that was the weather app, that was reminiscing on photos. I even found myself one day going through the app store. I guess maybe there's some relief, sort of like if I was shopping, and so I would look at apps I'm never going to use, but educating myself on what's out there and what's the newest thing. Even like looking, I think one day I thought, it's like, well, if I'm deleting these apps, it's like, what else I'm going to delete? But in there, I was lost in the rabbit hole of what are all the apps I had on my phone and what did they do, and discerning whether I was going to delete them or not. And so then I would play with them. But it was this kind of engagement and maybe even like treasure hunt, right? If I was going to find that hit that was pleasurable in the moment. So it didn't really matter what I was doing. It was just the behavior, right? Looking for a home. So this is what helped. I put my phone in a different room. I mean, literally. I left my phone here in the office at night, and I would go to bed, and I would not have, not even the possibility or the option to have my phone near me. Because what you need to understand is it's not a willpower issue. It's a kind of like an environmental design situation. It becomes a problem when your phone is within arm's reach, because you're going to reach for it. It's not a matter of will. You're not weak. It's just because your environment is still allowing for that behavior. Think about it this way. If you were going to stop drinking, you wouldn't keep the booze around, right? If you were going to quit smoking, you wouldn't keep the cigarettes around. Same thing here. The first 3 days are not about feeling better. You're not going to feel better, but it's about interrupting or disrupting this reflex behavior. You're going to reach for your phone, and it's not going to be there. You're going to feel like you're missing something important, like you are forgetting something and you have to check it. But let the urge sit there. Let it just be there. Don't feed it. Most cravings peak at 90 seconds. So if you just let it sit there for 20, let's say for 2 minutes, it will fade. And here's the part that nobody wants to admit. I didn't even want to admit it, but it's just like at day 2, it's like I'm thinking I'm like the most boring person in the world. Like, why is this so boring? Right? And it's not because my life was boring. Obviously, I had enough things to do, but it's that my brain had been outsourcing the stimulation to my phone, and it had forgotten how to generate interest on its own. Scrolling isn't a social media problem. It's a coping mechanism that your brain has developed when it's understimulated. So the question is not, how do I stop scrolling? The real question you got to ask yourself is, why does sitting still for 5 minutes feel like a crisis? And if this is landing, it's probably because this could be part of a bigger issue. Your usual strategies aren't working, and that's what this channel is about. What do you do when effort stops working? And so I help people like you to figure this out. Hit the like button, subscribe, find a link in the description where you can schedule a strategy call, and we can find our way together forward. All right, stage 2. So let's say around day 4, something shifted. I wasn't reaching for my phone every 2 minutes, but I actually found a different problem. I was sitting on the couch like at 7 p.m. and literally asking myself, so, okay, if I'm not doing that, then what the heck am I doing? And this is where most people then just reinstall the apps. And it makes sense. You've done enough, like you feel good enough about yourself. Like by then, I thought I had done pretty good, right? And it was like a good experiment. But okay, well, now enough, because that was so uncomfortable and weird. And the worst part is it hits the productivity value or the productivity game. that then, well, if I'm sitting here, I'm not doing anything productive. I'm wasting my time, right? So that kind of gives a justification to reinstall the app. So I need to stay on top of things on my phone and feel productive, feel busy, feel like I'm on top of things. But don't be fooled, because what's actually happening is that your brain is recalibrating. That moment when you don't know what to do is gold. When you're scrolling in social media, you are feeding your brain new faces, new images, new names, new information, and your brain is getting stimulation every few seconds. So your brain has adapted to that and has gotten used to that high intensity input. And then normal stuff, just you get numb and it feels boring. Reading a book, too slow. Going for a walk, not interesting enough. Having a conversation, you have you noticed, like every 30 seconds you're like squirrel. So when you remove the stimulation, naturally your brain doesn't just immediately start enjoying normal stuff. At the beginning, it's just, again, recalibrating itself. It's just sitting there waiting for that hit that it's used to getting. And this is what we call the dopamine adaptation. And here's what it actually looks like, right? So on day 5, I'm sitting here in my office, Saturday afternoon, nothing to do. I was just no phone, and it's a visceral feeling, like feeling lost. And again, not that I didn't have anything to do, but without my phone, the impetus or the impulse to do things um, wasn't there. Like all the things that I surely could have done, they just didn't seem interesting enough. So I just sat there for like 20 minutes. I mean, it felt like eternity, but I just stuck with it, and I just stayed there. Well, actually, here in this chair, and I just sat here. And the crazy thing is that after, again, I actually lost time. So I know it was about 20 minutes, but I suddenly got up without thinking it, without planning it. I I just got up, and I found myself in the laundry room folding sheets. I don't know if this is familiar, but folding sheets that had been in the clean basket for about a month. And it's not because I wanted to, is I just found myself doing that. It just felt fine to do that. Not knowing what else to do, that felt good. I even there was a I folded the same, like kind of like fold. I didn't fold it twice. It was just like I got very detail oriented, and then I went to the kitchen and I organized things in the counter, and then I folded the throws that were on the couch on the den. And the cool thing is that it didn't feel like a chore. It felt neutral. Like my brain was looking for something to focus on, and that just felt like the right thing to do. Like it just felt neutral. It felt something that my brain could focus on. Then it was so cool because then I went outside to the garden. I didn't have a plan. I was just watching. I was watching my cat watching the squirrel. If you can get that, it's so cool. Yeah, it was so cool that that I noticed that neighbors would pass, the kids were passing, the squirrel would come and go. My dog would chase the cat would climb up the tree, and I wasn't keeping track of time. I wasn't thinking about what I should be doing. I was just there. And that's the night I asked my husband if we wanted to play a board game. And I mean, you would need to understand all the context, but like he's a board game fanatic and he's always asking me to try this game and that game. And, you know, sometimes I just acquiesce and I do it. But actually, this time I told him, why don't we play a game? And he literally looked at me like, I guess, like teary eyed, like the little kid in the cartoons, like, really? And we played, and it just felt right and good. It wasn't the most amazing evening. And that's the point. Because at this stage, you are rediscovering how to choose things because they feel neutral, they feel fine, not because they're stimulating. You're not looking for the next exciting thing to do. You're looking for things that feel like the right thing to do, like it feels okay to do them. Walk the dog, call a friend, read a chapter on a book, organize a drawer in your closet. Small, boring things you used to do before the phone convinced you that sitting still for 3 minutes was tragic. And here's the shift that's happening. You stop treating boredom as if it's an emergency that you need to fix. And instead, you start treating boredom as the signal that your brain is ready to start focusing on something real. See, boredom isn't the problem. It's the space and the opportunity where decisions can be made. So around day 8, something clicked. I was working on a project. I was super focused. And then I realized that I hadn't checked my phone, I don't know, in about, I kid you not, like 3 hours. And it's not because I had forgotten about it. It was just the thought wasn't there. Similarly, I've noticed that now when, I leave my phone here in the office and I go to bed, and now I started reading actual physical books. And at the beginning, I remember, oh my God, I would read the chapter. I would start a chapter and think it was like grueling, you know, almost feeling suffocating. Like when is this chapter going to end? Maybe also I wanted to read faster than I was reading, but I realized that I was now able to release myself in the story. It's a slower pace. I'm reading, and also how people write, like the story, the moment is unfolding, and um and I am able to stay with the story in the book as it's unfolding without my mind wandering. Similarly, I've found myself like I was more on top of things at the house, like keeping up with just kind of little things, right? Like cleaning the counter, putting stuff away. The things that I used to maybe not even pay attention to before, or just kind of procrastinate. Now I've I actually got more done. Like somehow my mind wanting to focus on something, I could just finish. Yeah, I can finish tasks, like as simple as getting food out of the fridge and actually putting it back on the fridge. Or I don't do this all the time, but sometimes it surprises me. Like I'm done eating and I don't just leave the dishes in the sink. I actually put them in the dishwasher. So it's something of like my brain now is able to stay through the whole task without feeling the anxiety that I need to, swipe and get to the next thing. I mean, I don't know if this is something that happens to you, but before, gosh, sitting at my desk and opening a blank document and trying to organize my thoughts of is it that I'm going to do and what is it I'm going to say, it was like pushing a rock uphill. Any task without the immediate reward, it just felt pointless. And after this reset, I feel like focusing feels more natural. Delay rewards just register. I can wait for them. It just makes sense to me. Here's the funny thing. I think I noticed when I started feeling like a kid again, when I started getting excited about things that I didn't for years, but it kind of reminded me, like, I mean, and maybe I'm dating myself, but like I remember getting excited going up a tree, like, oh, I'm gonna get to the top of this tree, or excited because I was planning how I was going to learn or try the cartwheel the next day and how I was going to get better at something. And this is the thing, that was the time when your brain could find joy in the anticipation rather than in the consumption. And when you remove that constant stimulation, that capacity returns. And here's how this actually works. Your brain evolved. The function of the dopamine, it was to come after effort. So then it plays a very important part because it nudged you, or it got you excited to go exploring, to solve problems, to build things, because it would give you that after the effort. These activities gave you dopamine after sustained effort. And so then it reinforced the behavior. What social media does is that it short circuits the whole process, and it gives you the reward without the effort. That's why it feels so good in the moment, but so empty afterwards. When you reset your dopamine system, you're not just getting off your phone, you are restoring the feedback loop that makes effort be meaningful again. And once that loop resets, everything shifts. Tasks that you were avoiding feel doable. Conversations that you were dreading feel manageable. Goals that you were postponing suddenly feel like within reach. Not because you've changed, but because your brain is registering effort as something valuable again. Okay, so this is the thing I want you to remember about this whole thing. The reset is not the goal, it's the opportunity. Once your dopamine system recalibrates, you have this window, these like about 2 weeks where new behaviors start feeling more available, easier than usual. And this is when you need to move. And if you want to know more about this in between time, I actually made a video on things that you only notice when you're in this phase of the in-between. So I'll leave a link in the description, but make sure to check it out. Start a project you've been avoiding. Build the habit that you've been delaying. Have the conversation you've been postponing. Because when you delete social media and create this space of possibility through the boredom and the awkwardness, you actually, your brain stops fighting anymore, and it actually starts looking for something to do. And if you don't give it direction, it will just drift back to, obviously, to what's easy, to what's familiar, but not necessarily to what's natural in its own functioning. So here's the shift. Stop trying to optimize your app usage and just remove the apps entirely. Stop trying to manage your attention and start designing environments that protect it. Stop waiting for motivation and start using the reset to make decisions. If you're watching this and you're thinking, this makes sense, but I actually have something more complex than just deleting my apps, I've put a link in the description where you can book a strategy call and we can talk about what your situation is, how we can design something that fits for you. And again, if your efforts stopped working and giving you the results that you're used to, that you were expecting, let's find out what to do next. Look, you don't need permission to try this, but go ahead. Delete one app. Try it for 7 days. And if it doesn't work, well, reinstall it. Try it as an experiment, not as a life sentence. Most people fail at doing this, not because they were weak, but I think because nobody told them what to expect and how to navigate this. Now you know. The withdrawal looks absurd. The boredom feels uncomfortable. And the recalibration takes time. But on the other side, there's a brain that is actually interested in real things. That's the shift.